It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Now you can generously give a voice to Storytime. Visit our library of homegrown audio stories at cadbury.co.za.
Look at my face. I'm even more excited than I normally am, which is saying a lot, because I'm always really excited. But this is incredibly special. For the past few weeks, Cadbury has been calling on all of us South Africans to generously give our voices to narrate the magical children's stories found on the Cadbury Homegrown Stories Library, which is a gold mine. And the aim is to make story time more enjoyable and, most importantly, accessible for all, sharing audio stories now in 11 official languages. This is amazing.
I love this story. Well, gather round on the mat, because one person who has truly embraced this is Jack de Priester, a treasured Afrikaans singer, songwriter and father of two. Besides listening to stories he shares through his music, we can now also listen to his voice as he narrates stories on the Cadbury Homegrown Stories audio library. Thank you for joining us today, Jack.
Wow.
So,
Hey,
David,
what do you think? Am I going to be in?
You are more than a pro.
Yes,
that
man!
was an audition, eh?
That was.
That was, I wonder if Cadbury, they just saw it probably.
They're going to have to watch this, but they're going to have to watch this. There's no way around it. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing, yeah. And I'm the Afrikaans voice.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was awesome. We recorded in Cape Town at Woodstock at the studios. Beautiful stories. And I think it's important for the kids of South Africa you know, it's South African stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's very important because we are so many different, diverse cultures. And through stories, we're going to learn more about our country and about people in South Africa.
And about ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the
Because we
thing.
get to see ourselves represented in these stories.
That's
and
true.
it is so vitally important from a literacy perspective that we do
Yes.
foster this love of learning. But there is something so powerful in a child being able to see themselves represented in a different way.
That's so true. And eventually, when they're older, then I think stories are very important to tell things about themselves because you can actually get to know your kids by story time. You know, at school, this is happening. Eventually, it's not reading stories, but just sharing what's happening at school, you know, that kind of thing. And that's very important. And I think stories lead to that communication between a parent and a child.
So you've discussed the importance of this, which is wonderful, but surely you have a favorite story that you've narrated, that you've just like gotten sunken into. You just thought, okay, now I'm going to become the best Jack de Priester I can be in this one, and I'm going to do voices. And which one was it for you?
No, well, for me, so it was my first time, but there was a guy called Charles van Heiningen. He's a very popular, very famous voice artist in Afrikaans.
Yes.
Yeah. And he was so eventually I had to be different characters because you can't just read the story.
You gotta act, bro.
If you are Sipu, then you gotta be Sipu. If you are afraid, then you gotta be. So I can't really say there was a favorite. They were all very different. I got into it, and then it was like, and then I was all the characters.
It's liberating. It's liberating.
Very much so.
The only problem is that you become the storyteller then in your house, and my kids demand me to read the stories because I get so emotionally invested in that process.
Exactly. You have to be emotionally invested. Because then it's the truth. If you're just going to read it, it's going to be so boring.
It lives, and it lives in their imagination in a way that we can't even understand anymore because kids' minds are like that. All of this being said, you get a lot of offers to jump on board a lot of campaigns.
Yeah.
There was something about this that mattered more to you. What do you hope to achieve through your beautiful narration?
Well, I think just that importance of storytelling. And I hope a lot of kids just enjoy it, and it's there for free for the whole of South Africa. It's there for everybody. And for me to be that voice for the Afrikaans community, whoever understands that the language, it's amazing. And I hope we can do more and more and more. Eventually, it's a library. That's what it's all about.
So how do we get involved? I mean, I'm sure so many different people would like to add their language and the way they speak their language in a unique type of way. How do we add those voices to new stories?
Well, definitely go on www.cadbury.co.za and then they'll just find their way.
We get to see what this means. It's great for those of us who live in our perfect little bubbles, but it's for those that haven't ever had access to these stories, where you see that trajectory, that climb happens so quickly with literacy. So thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. And you can generously give a voice to Storytime with Cadbury's homegrown audio library. Simply grab your favorite Cadbury Dairy Milk, your loved ones, and visit cadbury.co.za to select a story in your home language to get started.
Yep, then get into front of a mirror and start practicing those character voices because you're going to need them. But your first stop has to be the Cadbury Generosity Storytime studio near you. Then you can add your voice to the homegrown library for others to enjoy. It's absolutely amazing. Visit cadbury.co.za for all of the details, and then follow the conversation online. Hashtag Cadbury Give a Voice, and at Cadbury Dairy Milk SA on Facebook, then at Cadbury_SA on Twitter and Instagram. Yuck, we love you guys.
Thank you
so
guys.
much for being here.
Lovely. And we lived happily ever after.
To be continued.
Now you can generously give a voice to Storytime. Visit our library of homegrown audio stories at cadbury.co.za.